Hi, thanks for checking out our channel in this video. Hopefully this is going to help you out. This is going to be a kind of a how-to video on how to change a battery on a Gallagher Smart Scale or Livestock scale. This is a W210 model. It's been discontinued here recently, and there's a newer model of scale coming out. I can't remember what it's called, W-O, I think it's a new one. My battery's actually good. I don't need to really change it, but what I'm doing this for, a customer called. He's got a Smart Scale 200, which is just an earlier version of this, basically. Different layout, looks of it. Buttons are the same, switches the same on all the what it does. Circuit board's completely different, but the batteries are the same. So we are a dealer for the Gallagher brand. We work on all brands of electric fence boxes and cattle scales and stuff for most of the brands out there anyways. But we are a dealer for the Gallagher brand. So if you need parts for a Gallagher unit, we can help you out there, we will. If you're looking at wanting to buy something new related to scales or electric fence, Gallagher's probably the best out there. That's the only reason why we chose to be a dealer for them, or why we chose to anyways. There's a lot of brands out there, but we chose, as a repair guy, that's what I am, we chose the Gallagher brand just because of the quality. I didn't want to deal in the cheap stuff or the other overpriced stuff that's out there. I didn't want to deal in the headaches of having someone buy something and then a year or two later it's crapped out for some stupid reason. And Gallaghers don't have those random problems, so that's why I like the Gallagher stuff. They're just quality. So I know people are like always trying to save a little money and this and that, but sometimes you got to spend a little money and get a good stuff. So that way, long term, you're not nickel and diamond paying for repairs all the time. So that's why I like the Gallagher stuff. Once you fix it, if it's an older one, you fix it, and might run another 10, 20 years, excluding lightning. But let's get into this one here. So the battery's good in it. It does need to be charged up some, because I hardly ever charge mine because I only use it just a few times a year to check low bars and stuff like that come in. And the good thing about Gallagher scales, their true test bars will plug up to a Gallagher scale, and vice versa on most models. Not every model, but most of them will. They have the same kind of port on the side of them. They have these little 7-pin connectors on the side, and then the other side is female. So, but I'm just going to go through and show you how to change it. And then I'm going to put it back together because I got to charge this battery for the customer, because the customer's got a Smart Scale 200. His battery's low or bad. It won't stay charged, and then as soon as you unplug the battery charger, it dies within minutes or seconds. So his battery's probably 10, 15 years old at least, because they came out with the 210 about 2010. So his is probably at least an 09 or older. I think they came out with those in like 2000, so it could be a 20-year-old battery. Now, if you're curious on how old your scale is, this goes for any of the Gallagher orange scales. Flip this little flap open on the back. Look at the sticker, and you'll see serial number right there. See the first 2 digits. This is a 15, so it's a 5-year-old battery. This is a 2015 model. It's 44th week of 2015. So that will tell you how old your unit is. Now on the 200 scales, they've got these little gray caps all the way around holding their little dust caps. You pop them things out. If you lose one, don't worry about it. It's just a dust cap, doesn't do anything. So not too much to worry about. These don't have dust caps. These are, and the screws on the 200s and all the Smart Scale, the Ernie 700s and stuff like that, they're all Phillips. And on these, they're all Allen head screws. So I'm going to take all these screws out. Luckily, all these are the same size. On the Smart Scale, certain screws are longer than others, so they kind of should go back in the right spot. On the 200, compared to the 210, The 200, the board just kind of sits down this orange section down in here, just kind of sits there. The 210s, they're bolted to this gray piece on the front, so you don't have to worry about that. And then, let me get this out and I'll kind of show you. I need to mark this so I don't forget, because he's got these little these gray cables here. The 200s don't have that. They're plugged into the board on the side. They've got different kind of ports on them, or plugs on them. But I want to mark this so I know which way this plug goes in, because you can kind of mess it up and get them plugged in wrong. So put a black line on there so I know that those need to line up. But the first thing you want to do is unplug your battery, which I did not do. So when you've got the 200, come on, you get the 200, basically you're going to pull it out and the board's going to be sitting right up here. And the battery is going to be plugged in the upper left corner like that. And then you got some ports that are plugged on. I think most of it's on the left hand side, maybe one on the right hand side. But you unplug your battery first, and then you unplug all the other ports, wires, and then put the board off to the side. Because you got to be kind of careful. The boards have got this lot of computery stuff on there. The 200 are a little more basic than this, but they still got all this computer chips and stuff on, so you got to be careful. Don't manhandle it too much. You'll touch the edge of the boards versus just handling them everywhere. And then, see, the 210's got these little brackets over it to kind of hold the battery in place because it's just kind of laying in there. The 200s and all the other smart scales like 500s, 600s, Ernie 700s, Ernie 800s, all the batteries are just kind of, when you pull the board out of the way, they're kind of double-sided taped into place. So you have to take like a screwdriver and get, between this orange area and underneath, and just got to pry and lift that battery up out of there. And then it's probably going to break a little bit. The kind of the wrap around the battery might kind of fall apart or break and rip or whatever. Battery's going to go in the trash or whatever you want to do with it, so it doesn't really matter. And then you get the new battery. It slides, you can put double-sided tape back on there if you've got an older scale. The newer scales, you don't have to worry about it. These are small square Robertson heads on there, so you got to have the small square bit to get it out of there. Sometimes, if you're lucky, a small flat screwdriver that's just wide enough you can kind of go from corner to corner. That one's too small. Corner to corner, and pop them loose that way. What I do, if you got one of these newer scales, I loosen up one of them on either side. This one or this one or this one or this one. Just loosen up just a couple turns, just kind of loosen it, and take the other one all the way out on the other side, and you can kind of rotate these out of the way, pull the battery out, put the battery back in, rotate those back, and then tighten the screws back up. And then when you get the battery in there, put your board back on there, or if your board's already attached to it, like one of these newer ones are, plug all your other wires in first and battery last. So when you open it up, if we start handling too much stuff, unplug your battery first, unplug your other wires, get the board out of the way, and then when you get the battery reinstalled, put the board back on there, plug all these other wires in first, whatever kind of connections you got, and then plug the battery in last. So that way there's no residual charge flowing through the board when you're handling the thing. It lessens the chance of you static discharging and ruining a board. Because all the smart scale models, Ernie 700s, Ernie 800s, smart scale 200, 300, 500, 600, all those old legacy scales they call them, they look kind of like this. All the boards are discontinued, so you can't get any boards for those anymore. So if you've had it for 20 years or 15 years or whatever, be careful, because new scales aren't cheap. So if you manhandle it too much, if you don't want to attempt doing it, just leave it alone. Put them back together best you can and send it to a guy like me. Let me do it here, and I can usually do it without ruining anything. So all the 200s and the W210s are fairly basic scales, so they're not as critical for static stuff because there's not as much stuff on there, electronic wise, because they don't do EID readings, they don't do all the other sessions and all the other software stuff. There's not a lot of chips on there, so that's just one way that you can help yourself or not having to spend a bunch of money on a new one. Eventually, the scale's going to break, and you can try to get it fixed. But if it's old one, likely going to be out of luck, and you're going to have to um, buy a new scale. But most, like the W610, W810, those are discontinued too. All the parts are still made for them. So I've got all my other wires plugged in first. I'm plugging my battery in last, which, like I said, this is a 210, so the 200 is a lot different. But the concept of how to do it is the same. So always unplug your battery first. So you start manhandling a bunch of parts. Then unplug all your other wires, get everything out of the way, get your battery installed, put double-sided tape back on there. You don't have to do it on these types. So once you put it in there, you just tighten these things down. You don't have to worry about the battery coming out or coming loose. So when you get everything back on there, put the other connections on first, and then your battery in last. That way there's no chance of a residual charge hitting the battery or hitting the board or whatever. I mean, so we're gonna cinch this back up here, and then I'm gonna plug a battery charger into it. That way, when the customer gets the battery, because Gallagher's out of the batteries right now, at least as of March 8th or whatever it is. They're supposed to be here in about a week or two, but the customer's like, I need this right now, sort of thing. So we're gonna, instead of him waiting on a battery, I'm gonna sacrifice mine, and then I'm gonna buy a new battery to put back into mine. The battery's good quality. The only thing that affects them is age. So even though this is 5 years old, not a lot of, I haven't never used this for weighing. I don't own cattle. We own some, chickens and turkeys, but we don't own any, animals, livestock that we have to weigh or anything like that. So I don't use this but to test load bars and load cells when they come in for repair off of the Gallagher stuff, and occasionally on the True Test stuff. So that's the only reason why I have the scale, just for testing purposes, to fix things. So that's what I use it for. Loosen that up a little bit. So I don't want to lose these screws. So that's the only reason why I'm kind of halfway putting them in. That way I don't lose them. Alright, so there you go. That's how you change a battery and some of the techniques that you need to use for changing the battery. So, but if you don't want to attempt it, just leave it alone, box it up, ship it here, let me do it for you. Batteries aren't super expensive, but circuit boards are. So if you got a newer scale, like a W610 or 810 or one of the TW models, don't even attempt it. You're going to risk of discharging something you shouldn't discharge, and boards are several $100s. So, shipping to get it back and forth is $40. So a lot cheaper than shipping getting a board for several $100s on one of the newer scales, later scales. So there you go. Remember, we're a dealer for the Gallagher brand. So, but we work on all brands of electric fence equipment, so we don't really discriminate against that stuff. We just we try to fix things versus replacing. Because it's just, I'm not a sales guy. So, but if you want to buy something from us, we'll definitely get you a price on something. And the good thing about buying something from us versus somebody else is we'll probably get you a pretty good price on something. And we're there for repairs and troubleshooting. So if you got questions, we're always there to help. That's what we do. I'm not just a technician guy. We do troubleshooting over the phone and emails and text messages and stuff like that. All right. So until next time. See you later.